And turning now to Stormwatch 12, meteorologist Josh Colbert this morning looking at some of those wind gusts already pretty significant this morning, especially looking at Gold Beach. Is that kind of going to be the theme heading into our Monday?
It is, especially before lunchtime. That is going to be the prime time frame from when we're going to see the rain and the winds and also some of the snow. So here is one component of that, the winds gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour there along the beach in Gold Beach. So, and that is definitely in that damaging threshold. And a little bit later today, we could have some winds that could rival that, if not be a little bit stronger than that, up to 70 miles per hour for the mountains, even 55 mile per hour wind gusts we could see here within the Rogue Valley. And this runs through this afternoon. So because of that, we have several wind advisories in place. Most of these run until 10 a.m. for this morning, a little bit longer than that for the east side. And then we also have high wind warnings in place for the Shasta Valley and for coastal Curry County. So the winds are in association with the storm system that is bringing us all of this rain and snow this morning. It is yet another atmospheric river. Snow levels are right around about 5,000 feet for this morning. So we'll track this for the rest of the day with Stormcast. And by the time we get to 8 a.m., still widespread rain and snow, especially along into the east of the Cascades. But then watch what happens. It clears out of here pretty quickly by the time we get to lunchtime. So lunch plans might be a little impacted on that US 395 corridor in Lakeview, but to the west of the Cascades will be dry, and actually maybe later today there's an off chance we could see a little bit of sunshine. So we'll be dry overnight, and then here comes that next storm system that we'll have to deal with very early in the morning on Tuesday, and this will continue all throughout the day on Tuesday. We'll stop this at lunchtime, at dinner time, into midnight as we head into Wednesday. It's kind of the same thing. So we're expecting more beneficial rainfall from this, 2 more additional inches of rain on top of everything else that's already fallen in the Mount Shasta City area. But again, the west side valleys are really not going to luck out when it comes to this rainfall amount. It's probably less than 1/10 of an inch, and that goes through Tuesday night. Snow levels for this round are going to be anywhere between, say, 5,000 feet to 4,500 feet. And then for the round that we're expecting all throughout the day on Tuesday, those snow levels are going to be anywhere between 3,000 and 4,500 feet. So a little bit lower, but I think those snow impacts are going to be pretty minimal when you compare it to some of the impacts we're going to see from the winds. But still, maybe a couple inches of snow we could have for Mount Shasta City. A trace to an inch we're expecting for Klamath Falls and for Lakeview, and maybe 1/2 of a foot to a foot up towards Diamond Lake and Crater Lake. So we still have this winter storm warning in place until 10 this morning for Siskiyou County and elevations above 4,500 feet. Excuse me, I believe that's above 4,000 feet. But I think that for the next 48 hours, those snow impacts are going to pale in comparison to some of the impacts that we're going to see from the winds. So travel will be impacted over the next 4 days, not only because of the snow, but also because of the winds. So for today, most of the rain and the winds and the snow will occur before lunchtime, especially to the west of the Cascades. Then overnight, we're going to have this lull between a couple different storm systems. And then we're tracking the storm system for early on Tuesday, all throughout the day on Tuesday. Then we're tracking a more potent storm system late Wednesday into early on Thursday. And I'll have more on that storm system coming up a little bit later in the show. Here's your 7-day forecast for the coast. More wet and windy weather throughout the next 4 to 5 days, at least in regards to the winds, but the wet weather will continue for the next 7 days. The same thing for Siskiyou County, where we're expecting more rounds of snow, but those big impacts are going to be in elevations mainly above 5,000 feet. So Snowman Summit, Black Butte Pass will still likely see some impacts, probably not as great as what we saw over the weekend. Then a couple inches of snow we're expecting on Oregon 140. The Cascades and Siskiyous will continue to add to the snowpack, which is already above average. And then for the Rogue Valley, rain looking likely today, but that will mainly be before lunchtime, maybe some sunshine later in the day, and soak it all in because we're not going to have much of that after this.
So we saw a pretty active weather week last week. Would you say that this week we're getting into a similar kind of pattern, or would you say that this week's going to be better, worse? What are we looking at?
It's the same.
Same thing.
It never ends.
Okay. Well,
At least it seems like. Now, the winds, I mean, it's hard to say that the winds are a little bit toned down because we have that storm system later on Wednesday into Thursday. The winds are looking pretty ferocious with that one. But I'd say maybe the amount of high impact days is a little bit less compared to last week. But that is really splitting hairs.
Okay, well, good news is that looking at last week, people probably know how to prepare. And if you didn't prepare super well last week, you have an opportunity to do so this week.
You should know how. And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, thank you, Josh.
Of course.